name is David Ratner, and I am the middle school band director at Monroe Township, New Jersey Middle School. I've been teaching there since 2008 when the middle school, was actually located at a different building. But before that, I was a middle school and high school band director in Carteret, New Jersey. So this being my 10th year of teaching, I was very pleased to be able to impart a lot of the techniques that I learned through educational technology at the program at Boise State into my program. I was actually inspired to take this program, to enroll in it, due to the fact that there was such an influx of technology in my current district in Monroe over that I saw in Carteret. And I felt that a good portion of it was being underutilized by most of the staff, not just myself. And so I was very pleased to have found a program like the Boise State EdTech program that allowed me to infuse a lot of the technology in a more active method in my classroom. Throughout my time at the EdTech program, I found myself challenged in a number of different classes. I was actually pleased with the freedom that was brought upon by being able to choose my electives, but in the end, as I look back, I was actually most engaged and deeply challenged by the core classes that we were offered. I was expecting the electives to be more catered and individualized to my likes, which they were, and I thought that would inspire me to be more motivated and more actively interested in the course load. But as it turns out, looking back, I really feel like I was most engaged and most heavily involved in those initial EdTech 501, EdTech 502 classes. It's not to say that I didn't enjoy the electives. They were exceptional in their own right, but I really feel like the best learning that came from this program came from the time that I spent in EdTech 501, 502, and to a lesser extent 505, 503, things like that. One of the best courses and artifacts that I was able to create was the school tech analysis plan in 501. During the introduction to educational technology course, I was really constantly challenged by the course load, but that also allowed me to really focus on what the program and what educational technology was truly about. Dr. Schroeder was able to really guide me, as well as the rest of the class, through the curriculum into giving educational technology a more firm definition, as well as giving us an example of where it could be applied. She actually was so active as to give us multiple job postings and constantly keep us aware of the going-ons that were happening in the field. Granted, that was a number of years ago that I took the course, but I still see postings on the EdTech site that I'm sure are largely inspired by the course load and the curriculum that she has infused into that course. One of the most renovating and personally applicable projects that we did and artifacts that I was able to create was this technology plan for my school course load and an implementation plan. And so the concept behind this implementation plan was we were going to use a preset rubric to describe and analyze the application of technology into our school or into a specific program. It was really up to us determining how much we wanted to focus on. I chose to do the entire school, which allowed me to give a great broad spectrum and get my hands really deep into the actual technology application in my school, which was something that was really underutilized, and I think a majority of teachers don't really pay attention to. They just kind of woke up in the morning and showed up to school and did whatever was required of them. But one of the great things about the plan was it really forced me to get my hands deep and really analyze what technology the school had to offer versus what technology was actually being utilized. One of the great things that I was able to use was the DIGO resource that was presented to me through the project, through the rest of the course load. So during 501, I was able to apply this essentially an organization of links, sharing website slash company that would allow students and myself to post relevant links to different things that they found online and share them with the rest of the class. And what I did was I was able to organize this into different categories based on the instruments. Because as a band director, I do a lot of instrumental work. So I'm taking all of the flute and clarinet people and letting them share links that are relevant to their instruments. So if they find an excellent flute and clarinet or flute soloist or a place that makes clarinet reeds, they can share that link with their friends, and then everybody has access to the information, and they can discuss it in a very open forum, and it really got picked up very comfortably. Through my time in 502, I was actually very pleased to note that the course load required us to use HTML, and actually HTML+. I was actually, I guess that's the most unique course out of the spectrum that we were given, because it is requiring you to apply a skill that is not typically accompanied by teachers, unless you're in a CS class. Most school teachers don't know how to code. That's really the reality behind it. I did a little bit when I was in high school, like basic HTML, and this was able to kind of dust up the things that I had utilized back when I was, 10 years ago, and then obviously teach me some new things. And what I loved about this course and the projects that were involved, which all involved coding our own websites, was that it really allowed me to analyze other websites and implement them into things. Specifically in my school, I have a website that I use as a kind of band homepage, and so through this homepage I now am, with the skills that I have acquired through EdTech 502, really develop online quizzes as well as posting videos, and really make my website much more digitally immersed, and involve a lot of other benefits from courses like the graphics, I'll get to in a minute, that really allowed my students to become more deeply immersed into the website, as opposed to just a list of text and links that maybe are a little bit more limiting than the actual website that you can create when you have the power of HTML. Each of those projects that we worked on was simply just a different coding exercise where we would implement different aspects of coding, as well as make sure that it passed general coding testing with the CSS website, and it really just opened my eyes to the ability for me to be able to code as even a part-time music coding specialist in my school, to find flaws in the websites that are designed, especially those that are done through the company my school uses called Schoolwires, where it automatically creates the code based on a simple editing system, and it doesn't always turn out the way I'd like it to. One of the trickier things about coding in schools is the fact that many teachers and students alike simply ignore the possibility of being able to understand code because they don't deeply immerse themselves into it. And I won't lie and sit here and say that I code every single day while I'm at school, and as a result of my lack of using, it's kind of disappointing that none of the other course loads that we had mandated that we use it. There were certainly options to have it happen, but I honestly, at this point, if I didn't look into Dr. Beck's videos and or information sheets about how to log into the EdTech 2 server and upload a website to it, I wouldn't have a clue, because it's been a number of years since I took EdTech 502. So looking back, I would have loved it if each course required some form of website coding and element, especially if EdTech 502 was a prerequisite to like all of the electives. I know that it would be a nuisance when I was doing it, just like it was a nuisance to do all the coding, because it's very hard if you're not deeply immersed in it on a daily basis. But that would have been a very nice touch to really force me to still be actively able to code. But nonetheless, even just a couple of years ago, knowing what all the code HTML symbols mean and being able to diagnose problems on my website has proven to be really effective for me and helping and other educators in my field. The other class and artifact that I created that I really loved was some of the graphic imagery I used in 506, which was graphic design for educators. Specifically, during that course load, I was able to create a transposition chart, which allowed me to help my students break down each instrument's transposition. So in band, the way we have decided to run things, because of generations upon generations of just doing it the wrong way, is each instrument may not necessarily sound like the note it's sounding like. It'd kind of be like half of the population looking at the letter R and understanding that that sounds like R, but the other half of the population looking at the letter R and recognizing it as the letter S and misnomering it for the entirety of their life, but still in the back of their mind being able to translate that and understanding what each other means. So it's almost like we're reading different languages, and so we call that transposition in bands and in music in general. And so what I was able to do with this graphics course is create a chart that helped everybody break down what transposition did what to which instrument, and it helped a lot. It's still very challenging, especially for middle school students, but it definitely made the mountain more accessible and more climbable of trying to really conquer what is the clarinet supposed to play when I have to play a B flat on flute. On top of that, there was another project I created that was an artifact of a pyramid of sound, and so that's fundamentally important as the basis of sound that we have in all of our concert band. We want to emulate this quality of sound we call a pyramid. So I make this shape a lot to give the kids a reminder, and then I have an actual blown up version of the graphic that I created that allows my students to constantly reference what their role is in relationship to the overall sound that we're trying to create. And so that was another great graphic element, that the visual instrument pictures of each of their voices or each of their instruments being placed on a chart in the pyramid somewhere helps them realize, okay, do I need to play a lot on the bottom, or am I towards the top and I need to play a little bit softer, so we can really properly emulate the type of sound that we're looking for. So overall, I would say my time in EdTech through Boise State was extremely well utilized. I decided to take my time going through the course load and took really no more than 9 credits a year, where it allowed me to individually focus on each of the course loads and dig deep into the benefits and the resources that were being presented. I thought each of the instructors did a fantastic job of providing a wealth of resources and allowing us as students to individually cater how much of the world of educational technology we wanted to dig into in part of the course load. I was particularly fond of a lot of the teachers who were able to post multiple weeks of course assignments at once, where we were able to complete it ahead of schedule if we wanted to get ahead of the class, or relax if we needed to skip a week for life getting in the way. That was really helpful. So in general, it was just a very, very positive time, and I thank you all for watching the video and providing such an excellent education.